Matt Rife is sitting down to address all of the backlash that he's been receiving lately. Recently, comedian Matt Rife was getting called out by his fans after the release of his Netflix special. Matt's audience is majority female, and he gained popularity on social media posting his crowd work at his comedy shows. Most of his female audience loves Matt because in these videos, he comes across charming, funny, and good looking. But it seems like that's not something Matt wants to be hearing. Matt seems to want to be accepted not just by the girls, and in his recent comedy special, fans felt like he was straight up just throwing digs at women, and of course, they're jokes, but a lot of his audience's reaction to the special was very much like, hey, this feels like you hate us or something, and you want to leave us behind, and you're trying to impress a new audience or something, when we're the ones who supported you all the way to getting a Netflix special. That's certainly what a majority of the comments were saying when they were talking about their feelings online afterwards. In the comedy special, he opened with a joke about domestic violence. A clip of this ended up going around on TikTok with a ton of people criticizing it for not being funny at all, which is also a whole other part of the conversation, whether or not the special was funny. And a lot of people are saying it just wasn't, and that maybe crowd work really is his best work. But he was facing a lot of backlash for this, and he ended up responding to the fact that people were talking about his comedy special with an Instagram story that said, if you've ever been offended by a joke I've told, here's a link to my official apology, and he linked to special needs helmets. This obviously caused more conversation surrounding Matt as fans didn't love his response. But he's standing by everything that he said and talked more about this whole thing when he went on Jordan Peterson's podcast. This was certainly a bold and controversial decision for him to go on Jordan's podcast in a lot of people's minds. But in this, it became clear that Matt didn't care what people had to say about his comedy special and thought it was ridiculous that people were coming after him for it at all. But it kind of seemed like he didn't really know the real reason people were upset, or at least he wasn't wanting to address the real reason. He was making it seem like people heard his jokes and didn't like it, and was basically saying, if you don't like it, don't watch it. But the thing is, the big part of it, it wasn't like random people saw his comedy and were like, oh, I don't like that. I mean, sure, yeah, there were people that said that on TikTok, but a majority of the people were his fans feeling hurt because they saw this and just felt like this wasn't the person that they had been supporting all this time. It was surprising the jokes that were being made about women, but it didn't seem like Matt was addressing that part of the conversation of all the backlash.
You don't even have to know it exists. If I'm your problem, if you and I are face to face and you have a problem with my comedy that I tell, that I admit to the world, right? If you just remove yourself from me, if you do something as simple as just turn around, there is an entire planet behind you for you to go explore and live the rest of your life. You don't ever have to think about me. You don't have to talk about me. I don't like screamo heavy metal music. Guess how often I think about it or talk about it? 0% of the time.
And let's just get it out of the way that Jordan Peterson has not seen the special. He literally said that he has only seen Matt's crowd work, so he doesn't even really know why Matt is getting called out.
So that's why you've been making the specials on YouTube out of crowd work.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, because you can make them permanent, and you said it doesn't interfere with the novelty of a prepared show.
Yes.
And so you do prepared material as well.
Yeah, I have 2 full specials on YouTube that are fully
so
material.
I've only seen the crowd work. Okay.
Oh, you watched the red flags one?
Yeah.
As the two of them were sitting there talking more and more about Matt's special and what people have had to say about it, it just seemed like at the end of the day, Matt just found it funny how offended people were by what he said, and he just couldn't believe that they reacted the way that they did.
Okay, so now you're a comedian and you got canceled for a domestic assault joke. And then in response to that, instead of apologizing like a good boy, you put up a joke ad site about special needs helmets to protect the people who are offended by you. And now, to get yourself out of trouble, you're going to come on my podcast.
I never
That's
said
your
that.
plan.
I
eh?
was hoping it would make things way worse. And I'm hoping we can drive sales to that very real website about the helmets.
Yes, anyways, congratulations on
Thank
that.
you very much.
I thought the joke was funny,
Thank
risky,
you.
and funny.
course.
And I thought your response was dead on.
Matt talked more about his response to the backlash and says that people took what he posted on his Instagram story linking to the helmets. Everyone just took it the wrong way.
I thought this was very funny. And again, misconstrued. People instinctually, again, people get triggered by subject matter than what the joke actually is. Everybody took that as I was making fun of special needs people. No, I don't have anything to say about
you're
special needs
making
people.
fun of people claiming special needs for their emotional fragility inappropriately.
Exactly.
Right,
I'm
right.
saying
And quite nicely.
you need this way more than they do.
Yeah, right.
And the best part is that you clicked on it. You fucking
That's right.
idiot.
They could have special needs earplugs that they could wear to comedy shows where
That
you
would be
actually
what-
couldn't
they
hear the
filter out
comedian.
all the words?
Yeah.
Matt tried to say that during all of this, he actually gained fans because people saw what he said in his response, and the ones who thought it was funny actually ended up liking him from it.
People who don't even like my comedy or have never even heard of me saw the outrage and my response to it and went, oh, that's actually funny.
Right.
So it actually gained me a lot of fans because most of the world, I would feel confident in saying the majority of people are sick of this shit.
And I believe that was Matt's whole goal with this special, was to try and channel a new audience and try and get away from the audience that he had. And this was something that was talked about on the H3 podcast, why he might want to be doing this.
You, for some reason, apparently garnered a lot of women in your audience, and then you're pissing them off. So.
Yeah. I don't think he's happy. I don't think he wants to interact with that.
First of all, that's a hell of a way to put it.
Because I think he's trying to convince himself that that's not true.
I'm trying to understand like why he doesn't want this audience anymore.
Maybe because they would admit that he's not actually funny and they just follow him for his looks.
Yeah, maybe. And like maybe the demasculation of like an all-female audience, he wanted.
I think there's a portion of that where if comedians, I think, first of all, women comedians already get shit on by men. Like no woman comedian is funny enough or good enough that she's not just being like doing shtick or something.
Yeah.
And then I think even further, people will say, oh, you have a female audience, so you're not that funny just because women like you. So I need more men to watch so I can go on Joe Rogan's show and be cool like them.
Tana and Brooke even talked about Matt's cancellation on their recent podcast episode and the fact that he is trying to steer away from his female fan base.
And there's obviously so much to be said about building a female fan base who you might have some disdain for because they might like you for the reasons that you don't want to be liked for. So then making jokes against women because of the disdain that you have for that, so on and so forth. I've watched too many psychoanalyzation.
Yeah, you have. But I just want to say, if anybody wants to give me a platform to make $25 million in a year because of what I look like, I would love it. And I would never complain even one time, sir.
Now, I don't think anyone is really out here saying, oh, Matt hates women. Maybe some people are taking it there, but I think he just wants to be respected in the comedy space. And it comes across as if he feels that can only happen if his audience isn't just all women or majority women. And that's sad because clearly the power of his audience got him this far. They got him massive opportunities, sold out shows, a world tour, a Netflix special. And that's a lot farther than a lot of people get. And I hope that he can sit and really appreciate that. I think his audience just wants to feel that he respects them, and they haven't seen that from him. And they definitely won't see it in this interview that he did with Jordan Peterson, because they're sitting there talking about people upset just having no sense of humor or talking about Matt for clout purposes.
Well, I also don't understand exactly from a purely logical perspective what the people who are complaining exactly expect from you, because and maybe it is that they have no sense of humor, or and that's highly likely, or that they're doing something we can talk about, which is gaining some kind of benefit from their complaints, some virtue signaling. I really see that with the men in particular. Well, I really care a lot for women.
I know.
Yeah, it's pretty ugly.
Yeah, I saw one TikTok video who was like, I have a wife and I found this severely disrespectful. I was like, okay, you whatever, dude.
Yeah.
This whole thing is just such a mess, and there are just a lot of opinions out there now that are talking about it, and obviously Matt has his feelings and Jordan Peterson, and I cannot believe he did this interview. But I mean, at the end of the day, it does kind of just seem like Matt wants a new set of eyes on his show, and he's not going to be apologizing for that. But I want to know what you guys think about what he had to say about everything that's happened recently. Let me know in the comments. I love you guys so much, and I will talk to you in the next video. Bye, guys.